You know, folks, I think I'd be really super pissed off right now if I were a rank and file member of Unifor, given that bizarre Super Bowl ad that ran during the big game, Roman numeral 53. Sadly, GM Canada will be closing its Oshawa, Ontario plant in the months ahead. That will mean more than 2,000 lost jobs. It's a tragedy, and there are myriad reasons for the closure. But one thing is certain, Jerry Dias, who heads up the Unifor union that represents GM auto workers, well, he isn't going quietly into the night. Even though the horse is already in the glue factory, Unifor decided to spend $180,000 to run this 30-second gem entitled GM Leaves Canadians Out in the Cold.
What makes us Canadian? Generosity, supporting friends and neighbors, helping those in need. So when GM needed help, we gave them $300 from every single Canadian. And after that nearly $11 billion bailout, GM continues to expand in Mexico, leaving workers out in the cold. A move that's as un-Canadian as the vehicles they now want to sell us. GM, you may have forgotten our generosity, but we'll never forget your greed. If you want to sell here, build here.
Where do I start? Well, to begin with, it should be noted that the ad ran on the Canadian network feed for the Super Bowl, not the US network feed, so I'm not even sure how many people actually saw it. I mean, everyone I know watches the US feed in order to view those big budget US commercials. Then again, maybe this was a blessing in disguise for Unifor, given that the cost of a 30-second Super Bowl spot on CBS this year was a staggering US $5.25 million. Regardless, the Unifor ad, along with the accompanying social media campaign asking Canadians to boycott made-in-Mexico vehicles, well, it was just downright weird and maybe even self-defeating. You see, there are two Cadillac Escalade-sized problems regarding the Unifor campaign. Hitch number one, GM Canada has stated that a boycott of made-in-Mexico GM products would be akin to Unifor cutting off its nose to spite its face. GM notes there are some 60 auto parts companies across the province that support the production of Mexican GM products. A boycott would only result in collateral damage for these Ontario companies as well as their Ontario workers. Oops. Hitch number two, the ad is inaccurate and may even be actionable. Yes, GM received an $11 billion bailout in 2009 from the Canadian government, but that bailout was a loan, and that loan was paid back in full. And so it is the next call Mr. Diaz receives might just be from GM's legal department. And here's another angle to this story. Why did Unifor emphasize something negative like a boycott rather than run an ad imploring Canadians to buy only those vehicles that are made in Canada? There are many such vehicles, and that's a positive message, right? Just check out some of these made in Canada vehicles. There's the Honda Civic and Honda CR-V made in Alliston. And then there's the Toyota Corolla and the Toyota RAV4 and the Lexus RX, which are made in Cambridge and Woodstock. But here's where things get a wee bit complicated, because all those Ontario plants I just mentioned, well, yes, they employ Ontario workers, but they are working in GASP, non-union shops. Oh, the horror. So I guess in the eyes of Unifor, if a car is made in Canada but isn't being made with union labor, well, that car may as well be an import from Timbuktu. So yeah, as much as Jerry Diaz claims to be going to bat for Canadian auto workers, what he really means to say is that he's going to bat for Canadian Auto Works who pay dues to Unifor so he can continue to draw his six-figure salary and benefit package. Furthermore, could it be that Jerry's outrage is less motivated about saving jobs, unionized or otherwise, and more about raising his profile for a future run in politics? That's my hunch. Yet, whatever the case, like I said off the top, if I'm a due-paying Unifor member, I'm livid right now seeing how Jerry is choosing to spend my hard-earned union dues during a time of real crisis. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Say folks, have you heard? You can listen to all Rebel shows as a podcast. Please go to the Rebel.media/listen.